In this video, I want to discuss a little bit about conscious processing and unconscious processing, and specifically I want to discuss conscious volitional processing and deliberate processing, but also discuss unconscious processing in relation to conscious processing, which will involve a subconscious processing, which we're loosely aware of what might be occurring in the unconscious through associations, or what kind of percolates up automatically in our conscious awareness and perceptions, in which we might respond to within a more perceptual and deliberate volitional stream of thinking, and help to form these associations with the unconscious through conscious processing that involves this subconscious processing, in which we have partial information of the unconscious that arises partially within consciousness. So we have perceptions of an unconscious thought. So we have the unconscious thought, it emerges, but we don't have all its meaning. We have aspects of this meaning, and some of those aspects are conscious, not fully conscious. So there's this partial divide. But the total process, sum total of that process, is occurring at this subconscious level, in a subconscious stream between the conscious and the unconscious. And so there are these deliberate and these automatic aspects of our conscious perceptions, but also deliberations and voluntary perceptual inputs and motivational, behavioral, emotional, feeling, action-based inputs that we can make that impact our unconscious processes and cultivate these associations and various types of meaning, expanding meaning, as well as expanding the associations that are made regarding meaning within the self, and various characteristics of the self and self-expression, and perceptions of personality, or expressions of personality, involving these various characteristics of perception, motivation, emotion, feeling, actions, behaviors, and meaning in regards to the self. This helps to form these unconscious connections between the conscious through an subconscious route, and this can be cultivated through developing greater self-awareness and insight, alongside self-knowledge that is the foundations to, and also largely influential to, developing greater self-intelligence. Or self-intelligence is the foundations to those two, but developing greater self-awareness and self-knowledge is highly important for facilitating greater self-intelligence, and it's often through gaining insight and access to these unconscious associations that are occurring through subconscious processes within our own conscious experience, that it's occurring through a meta-perceptual process involving our awareness of our own thoughts and perceptions and the contents of those, as well as the various ways we can think in regards to those perceptions and perceive in regards to those perceptions, that allow us to develop more meaningful ways of interacting with the world in a larger amount of meaning categories, and ways of thinking about information, and rendering a greater volume of knowledge and ways of interacting with the world that can help us to optimize our functions in everyday life. So conscious and unconscious processes tend to be characterized by various different types of effect that they have across these various constituencies of perception, emotion, feeling, actions, and behaviors. So conscious processes tend to be more volitional and deliberate. We tend to have more control over them, and are able to regulate them more readily and easily. They tend to be direct to our perceptions, and they're more apparent to us. So they're more readily available, and they're also the primary way in which we interact and engage with the world, and are primarily associated with our sense of agency and our agentic capabilities. While the unconscious tends to be more automatic and tends to pop up and be more deterministic, and we have less control over those and less capacity to regulate the unconscious directly through unconscious processes themselves, but we can regulate unconscious processes primarily through our conscious volitional processing. And a lot of the unconscious is regulated through conscious volitional processing, which is a large part of what distinguishes something like efficacy, self-efficacy, from, say, free will, and also from determinism. So efficacy has a lot to do with shaping various conditions associated with our perceptions in terms of an ideal and an actualization. So we have an idea of what we want and what we're thinking in relation to the environment, and this has various mind, body, environment constituencies, and our capacity to align our perceptions with a set of objects and behavior in pursuit of a particular aim. So aligning our ideal with an actualization, we can affect a particular outcome, and the effectiveness of that particular engagement in completing that task has an efficacy to it, and that's the effectiveness of our pursuit of a particular perceived ideal in relation to its actualization or obtainment, and the optimizing in that direction. So whether or not that effect has, say, a positive or a negative valence to it, and the characteristics of that valence. So that's all I wanted to say for this video. I hope you enjoy. Have a good one.